Hello, Amaka. Can you hear me?
Hi, Mav. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, is that sound coming from my end or your end?
No, it's I have the background music
Oh, okay,
on.
okay. All right, yeah, yeah. I almost forgot that that was existing. So, how many people do we have here, and are we good to go?
We have about 5 people at the moment.
So, do we wait for others?
Let's give about 5 minutes, or 2 more minutes. It's already 12:03. So once it's 12:05, we can kick off.
Okay, so maybe while we're waiting for them to join, we can actually just talk about UX interview questions and. Yeah, so let's say we can do that for like 5 minutes, right? So
Yeah, we can do that.
okay, so let me see. I'm trying to launch my Notion app because I think you shared the link via Notion. Okay, yeah, yeah. So just give me a few minutes. Okay. All right. So I think I just opened the interview questions, and I can see the way you structure them, right? Getting to know questions, digging in questions, usability testing questions, continuous customer interview questions,
Yeah.
product market fit questions, and yeah, I think that is it. So we will just get to cover the basics, which is getting to know questions and digging in questions. Reason is that some of the other questions can only come in when you're doing usability testing and continuous customer interviews, like for a product that is already existing. Correct.
Yes, for a product that's
Yeah.
already existing. Yes.
Okay.
More or
So
less when you. Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, I wanted to say more or less when you're trying to like when you're trying to redesign or work on a case study for a particular app.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So while the others are joining, I'll just um I'll be asking the questions. I'll be asking the questions, and Maka would respond to my questions. Um, yeah, but let's wait to have more participants. So, guys, if you can go to Discord, drop the reminder for your friends and your other the other guys on the server. Maybe you can drop it in the general channel as well, right? So that others can receive notification and join if they want to. Um, I'll be sharing my screen. So while I'm asking the questions, you will see, the questions that I am asking. I would also take down some notes, right? I'll take down some notes because this particular process, falls under your entire UX process, right? So when you need to do things like come up with your empathy map, try to understand, the user, try to outline like a user journey. Definitely the questions would go a long way to. I mean, without the questions, without asking these questions or even interviewing these users, then you probably don't. You have not started the UX. The UX process, right? So if you have not done something like this, or you have not created an interview question in form of a questionnaire, right? Probably using Google Form or any other service out there, then you're just making things up on your case study. So we have 11 people here. If you can hear me, just drop an emoji in the chat. Can we turn off the sound so that we
Background
can?
sound.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
please. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Done. I think we're good to go now.
All right. So yeah, if you can hear me, drop an emoji in the chat. I was telling Amaka today that I would have loved to. Yeah, I would have loved to bring up other topics such as wireframing. I know you already know how to do wireframing, but I wanted to also touch on that, and I wanted to teach you guys a tool called Mirror, and would have to then use that tool to conduct a user research. right? And outline some of the things that I believe you should learn, to do, right, using that tool. And finally, we'll then work on a case study design together. Not in this session. I will discuss with Amaka, and would look for a way to make that happen. More like more like I would say a revision, right, but a detailed one. We have some videos on our YouTube channel. I mean, I think I have taught Mirror like 3 times or more than 3 times, and those videos are on YouTube. Um, how I wish we have someone that can always go in there to search for some of these contents and pull them out, because I sometimes don't even remember to do that. But Amaka, I believe we have a lot of. We even have like a wireframing session where we drew some wireframe, design. I think I shared my camera and I was able to sketch something via my laptop. Um, so that would
Yeah,
come in later.
to get that video out though, so at least they can go through that before the class itself.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, so today we're going to just focus on UX interview questions. I will just give you a bit, a brief about the interview questions, why I think it is very important, that you know all these things. And of course, if you have questions, you can always, throw in your question while the session is ongoing. Then we would spend about 25 minutes, looking through these questions, and I would explain the different. Amaka came up with these questions. I remember she shared this with me probably 2 years ago for the first time, and this is kind of like a template that we use at Click. And if we have any, you know, bespoke personal project, we always, work with this. Work with this material when we are interviewing, users. So I would cover this, but just to start off, I think one important question, and please, I'm really sorry, I don't usually create slides for most of the sessions that I have. But what I can do for you is I can actually create a Notion page and share the detail of what I'll be explaining on that Notion page afterwards. Amaka can share this other material with you later. So I will pull up a Notion page right now. Let's see, add page. Yeah. But when I share the Notion page, try as much as possible to duplicate it, because it might not stay there for long. So just give me a minute. All right. So I would. So the question here is, why are UX interviews important? Right. So I have something I already wrote down here. Right. So I'm going to share this particular page so that you can see. Yeah. So that you can get to see this. Copy link. All right. I have it right here. Okay. All right. So Amaka, sorry for the delay. Let me share another tab. Let me share another tab. All right. Okay. All right, guys. So what we are seeing here, right? Why are UX interviews important? I just put up some, vital reasons here. The first one is, it helps you understand the user's needs, right? And I think that is actually something that a lot of people don't tend to put efforts when they are designing a product. You don't put efforts in understanding the user's need. You think is mostly about just following the pattern. Somebody says, I want to build an e-commerce. I want to create an e-commerce mobile app, and you're like, oh right. So I've been working on several e-commerce designs since I started designing, and I think I'm the right person to work on this design and give you everything you want. You would eventually give them both the ones they need and the ones they don't need, or you might even give them the ones they don't need and probably forget or discard the ones they need. Right? These are actually big problems there are huge problems when I see people work on products. Sometimes I remember working with a client. She said she wanted a language learning platform. I spoke with the woman and her workers. She directed me to discuss with her workers, right? She said they understand, they can give me all the details I need. So I discussed with the workers, and then we went ahead to build exactly, because the workers kept saying they want something like Udemy. They want something like Udemy. And we gave them something like Udemy, works like Udemy, at least, looking at the interface and the functionalities, the basic. So when I say like Udemy, I'm referring to the basic functionalities, because Udemy is a very old platform and they've done a lot of things over time, right? So there's no way we can build what Udemy has in a matter of, weeks, right? You might think you have built it from the interface, but it's beyond the interface. There are so many like implementations that will do things like compression and the rest of them. We can't see them. So I'm talking about the basic thing you can see on the interface and the functionality. And she came back and she was like, no, why did I do it like this? She was expecting that we would add, features like a quiz, like this, and then Udemy did not even have quiz. As at when I worked on the stuff with my team, on the project with my team, and I told her I came to you to ask these questions, right? We call it requirement gathering. If we're an engineer, you would refer to that as a requirement gathering. As a UX person, you refer to that as a user interview, right? Because you are basically asking questions, right? And she did not, or I would say the team that she has put in place did not spend enough time to really understand, what she was even asking for, right? So that's a problem. I could not get the user's need at that moment. Instead, I was basically implementing another person's need, right? And at the end of the day, we had to, rebuild that project again. Of course, at their expense, not mine. And the next thing we have here is design validation, right? So you really want to make sure that when you work on your designs, based on what the user asks for or what they are expecting, if user A says I want A and B, user B says I want A and B, and user C says I want B. So now you are rest assured that if you design A and B, it would work for user A, B, and C, right? So the point is when you have worked on a design that meets the requirements, right, and also follows industry standards, user A, B, or C will not see your design and say they don't understand this thing, because you're sure that what you implemented is similar to what the likes of Google and Microsoft or Apple would have done. Of course, probably with different design systems, but at the end of the day, we're talking about the functionality, right, the feature. So, of course, that is design validation, because you're rest assured that what I have done is what they expect. And by the time I also showcase maybe like a prototype or something, a very quick mock-up, they also approve it and they say, okay, this is what we expect, right? Yeah. And the next thing here is empathy and user advocacy. Now, what this is trying to say is when you listen to the user's story, when you listen to a user speak, or a potential user, when you listen to them speak, you tend to understand, their problem, because most users might have a problem but tell you a different thing. In fact, in most cases, I've experienced, that particular, uh, yeah, they have a problem, but they tell you a different thing because they don't understand how best to explain to you. I mean, you are not in the same industry, of course, right? So they don't understand the best way to explain that problem to you. So they keep saying, if you ask them direct questions like uh, you know uh, was this particular thing a problem, those kind of yes or no question, they would keep giving you answers that are vague, right? You don't even understand the reason, right, why they are giving that answer. But sometimes when you get to listen to the reason, you begin to realize that, okay, there is more to this, right? So a user is saying, if I want to make a call on WhatsApp, sometimes why is it that I have to add a phone number to my contact list first before being able to call them, right? Or, I mean, that's just an example, right? And they ask you that kind of question. Now you are in an interview session with them and they are telling you that, okay, I want to be able to make a call, to call a number without having to save it on my WhatsApp, contact, right? Um, Yeah. So I mean, it's not like someone is calling me. I want to be the one to place the call without having to save that number first, right? And to you, if you go in there to ask a user a question like, do you want to be able to, make a call without saving the number? Most users would say yes, right? I mean, of course, a lot of people don't like saving numbers first, or they probably don't want to save the number at all. So they'll just jump in and say yes or no, right? But you might get more of yeses, and at the end of the day, you don't understand why, right? So the best way to go about asking them the question is to ensure that they are able to give you reasons why they want to do that, right? So you can switch the question and ask something like, have you ever tried to, call someone via WhatsApp, but then you realize that, the number is not saved on your phone, right, or on your device? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, yeah, I've actually faced that several times. And, it is stressful because, sometimes I just want to place that call. I don't necessarily want to save the number because I don't want to have the person view my status, or, I don't want to have the person view my profile picture. Now you're beginning to see more reasons based on that particular customer's, view, right? So I don't want them to be able to view my status or my DP, and I am a private person. I just want to be able to call them, and that should be the end, right? And we can move on from there, right? You begin to see more. You can even go further to ask, okay, so why is it that you don't want them to see your DP or your status, or yeah, and they would even explain, right? They would give more details. So I think there's a rule that talks about asking enough questions, especially whys, right? But of course, you should also learn to understand that when you ask too much, questions, or too much whys, it might be a problem. So sometimes some people tell you ask why like 3 times. Some people say 5 times. I prefer three. I believe I can get the answer I'm looking for when I ask why 3 times. So we'll get to that. And the next one here, uncovering insights. Most of these items are actually similar, but when we say uncovering insights, we are talking about the ability for you to then reveal insights that the users might not tell you about. So, and this is why one-on-one interview is always better than questionnaires, right? Because when you work with questionnaires, they tend to just supply a single result, and you have to work with that. If it's a one-on-one interview, maybe with like 5 or 10 people, you get to learn a lot of details about the reason for their decision, or the reason for their response, right? And some of those insights you get out from the meeting or from that session can be used for immediate implementation, or can be used for future implementations, right? You might say, okay, this makes sense. I think, yeah, you say something like feature prioritization. So you can use that particular insight to say, okay, this feature seems to be very important, looking at the reasons behind them wanting us to add this to the app, right? So let's try to showcase, based on the feedback we've gotten so far, let's try to mark some of the items that are very important, some that are not so important, and some that are just on the average level. So this is where you work with the product manager, and the product manager would work with this particular data you have provided, to mark what should be rolled out in the first, published application, or what should come in next, or what should come in the future, right? So, which is why I was saying the other day that if you were in the session yesterday, I said that as a solutions architect, we work a lot with UX and product managers, because at some point you discover that everything just circles around different teams, right? And you need to work with this kind of data. I need this kind of data, as a solutions architect. Any product manager would need this kind of data as well, and of course the UX team would also need this kind of data to to showcase the most important part of the user's experience, right? When they use the app. All right, so we also have communication and collaboration, right? So communication and collaboration basically, I don't know why this keeps scrolling like this. Yeah. So communication and collaboration, basically, what we are referring to here is especially around, the stakeholders working on the project, especially when you look at if you're on a team and you just wake up one day, to make random decisions, you begin to discover that the engineers or the product managers or the C-suite executive, right, the CEO or the CTO, would basically make decisions based on their how they feel, right? I feel that this is how it should be done. I feel that that is how it should be done, and it begins to look like a competition. So I am a UX person. I know what is best for the app. I'm a product manager. I know what is best for the app. I am the product owner. I am the CEO. I know what is best for the company. And you guys have no idea what is best for the user. And what is best for the user should come in first. So by the time there's data, from the interview, you realize that everyone would prefer to adhere to the data you have brought on ground first, right? They want to listen to what you have to say, and they want to communicate or collaborate around the feedback, right, around the feedback, so that they can resolve the problem of the user, rather than coming up with random decisions that they feel that they feel the users would be random solutions that they feel would help the user, right? So UX interviews are very important because it will definitely foster better communication and collaboration. And finally, iterative design. Now, iterative design, of course, the point is when you work on a design, you don't expect that to be like a final implementation at first. Of course, you would always go back and forth. Do testing, conduct testing, right? Acceptance testing. You see, I have different levels of testing here. So, user research, concept testing, usability testing. We also have something called acceptance testing. So you basically test, some of these. You follow through on these processes before you get to a final stage where you believe that we are good to go live, right? Um, and yeah, when there's any change, of course, most times you'll be working in an agile environment, right? So when there's a change, or when there's something that was implemented and the users say, okay, this is not what we meant, you can easily, go back and make adjustments. Yeah, and I think that is it. I would share this with you. So let me do that on the chat. And if you have any question regarding this before we jump into the interview proper, please, you can ask that question. I know I was a bit fast, or maybe I was too fast. Just let me know if we're good. If you think we can dive into the interview already, let me know in the chat. I'm looking at the chat right now. Let me know in the chat. Amaka, hello, Amaka, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened with my network.
Oh, okay, okay. So, yeah, I'm waiting to see the response from the chat. If I can get 3 or 4 people uh, that says they are cool and they don't have any question, then we can just jump into the interview
So,
already.
all
Yeah.
right. So, guys, go ahead and drop a message. Okay, one person. We are more than 10 on this call, so I think typing is okay.
Okay. All right. So let me share the other screen. Let me, right. I think this is it. Okay. All right. So just to give you guys a brief of what we are seeing here. You see that the questions are grouped. Amaka grouped these questions into several categories so that you can understand how to use them, and how best to use them basically. So you see we have getting to know question. Getting to know question, would cover the questions you ask when you are trying to understand the user, right? When you're trying to understand the user, you try as much as possible. If you look at these questions, you see we're not asking for the kind of bank accounts that they use. You see, we're not asking for like their address. You can ask for location. Yes, you can ask for location, but it's better to ask in such a way that it doesn't look like you need their address. You ask mostly like for region kind of, right? Instead of asking you, okay, where do you live, or where is your address, or where do you stay, right? I can say, okay, do you stay close to Lagos, right? Or do you stay around this axis, right? Or I can ask follow-up questions, right? I can say, okay, what part of Nigeria do you hail from, right? Is it are you from the north? Are you from the west? And then when you answer that question, I can say, okay, so are you currently based on your response in the previous question, are you currently living close to Lagos? Or are you living close to Ikeja axis in Lagos, right? So because now anybody seeing that question, are you living close to Ikeja axis? You are not asking them if you are living in Ikeja. When the question is too direct and it looks too personal, people then begin to. I mean, it means you are asking them for their private info because that is what it is, right? That's their private info, and people are not very comfortable answering those kind of questions. And of course, you have to make sure you can't ask everything. You have to pick the most important ones, okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So digging in questions is okay. I've gotten to know this person. Right now, I can start asking some questions that relate to what we're covering. Right? When was the last time you did this? How do you currently address this particular pain point? Right? Tell me about tell me about how you currently solve this particular problem, right? What do you dislike about this activity or this, right? So you can say what do you dislike about the WhatsApp call thing, right? Tell me they will begin to tell you the problem. They can say, well, some people will always start off by trying to be positive all the time, right? Well, I don't have any complaints. It's perfect, everything is fine, you know everything is fine. Then you can go back and say, oh wow, that's amazing, that's interesting to hear because sorry, I think someone is asking. I'll get to that question very soon, right? No, no, no. So you actually, it's better to. I mean, you can, right? You can, but you mostly do like a Zoom meeting or Google Meet call, right? If you want to invite a user to a specific place, it means you are ready to at least spend some. I mean, make sure that the person is comfortable. Let me just use that
More or
analogy.
less, you're going to have to pay for their transportation, and
Yeah,
you don't expect them to just come and meet you. Yeah, this is like, okay, let's
I
say
mean,
you would
it's
have
not
to
an
pay for a drink also, so at least to calm them down and settle them after they have
Amaka,
also.
did you just say only drink? If you are inviting me for an interview and you did not make banga soup, you are a joker. No, please, it has to be, most times it will be online. If you already have a customer base, then you probably would invite them to the office, right? And you make them comfortable. Yeah, so that is the thing.
Or you
Let me
even go
put
and
it.
meet them, better still.
Yeah, or you can even meet them. I think yeah, that can also work. You can actually meet up with them in their workplace or something, but make it conversational, make it fun, right? I think I was trying to say something about can I remember? Okay, let's see. I think I was saying something. Oh yeah, I said some people would always try to be very positive, right? I don't have a problem with this, I don't have a problem with that. So there are ways to actually follow up with such question when you discover that someone is trying not to, go into details. So when somebody say, okay, I don't have any problem with this at all, you can always follow up and say, oh wow, that's interesting to hear because we have about 10 people who have just, reported that they have problems with this. So I would assume that, of course, it's obvious that you're a more experienced user and you're very comfortable with it, right? You know, and then with that, they will begin to sound like, oh, well, the thing is, I don't really see it as much of a problem, but I think, sometimes when you try to do this or when you try to do that, you know, I think it is called anchoring. So you can basically, try to place some kind of anchoring. I think Amaka wrote something about anchoring the other time. Amaka, if you can share that with them on the chat as well, I think it's on your website. I remember reading through. Yeah, so we have anchoring in UX, anchoring in marketing, anchoring in a lot of areas, right? It means the same thing basically, at the fundamental level. But the idea is you can basically use an anchor to make people respond, you know, to a question if you discover that they are not to respond, right? Maybe they don't want to be negative, right? So you can always say, oh, okay, you don't have to call names or tell us locations. We just want to understand based on your experience because, the previous 10 or 20 people we've interviewed have, at least have experienced this problem like 20 to 30% of the time. Do you fall within that 30% margin? Or is this an higher margin or lesser margin? So you will discover that someone that said they don't have a problem at all can then come in to say, they fall into that 10% or 20% margin because of A, B, or C, right? So if you want to understand details, psychology is very important. You must learn to ask questions. It's something that myself personally, I have learned to ask a lot of questions over the years. I have met a lot of difficult customers, and when you try to ask questions, they just want to come up with that. They just want to dominate the call, and the best thing you can do at that moment is try to match their energy, right? And I always say that match their energy based on the way they respond to you. If they are slow, you try as much as possible to be slow. If they are fast, you try as much as possible to follow up, but don't be too fast. And don't make it obvious that you are, mimicking them, right? Don't mimic them, just match the energy. Okay.
Yeah. So
So I think
based on that
okay.
call.
Go on. Amaka, you are not sounding, you're not very audible, is it? Oh, it's from
Oh,
my
can
end.
you hear me?
Yeah. It was from my end. Sorry. Go on, please.
Oh, okay. I say it's majorly based on how they pick up a conversation. Now, there's some people when you get to them, you're like, "Hello, good afternoon. My name is this," and they're like, "Hello, yes, how may I help you?" Aha. To an extent, you're not trying to be rude, but somehow you'd have to increase your tone because now they have made it clear like they are either hyperactive type or they are the ones that like to sort of bully. So you're going to have to match exact tune for tune. Now I don't mean you being rude. Now somebody has already answered you by saying, "Hi, how can I help you?" You go, "Yes, hi, I'm here consigning." Good. You just follow their tone and flow with them, because if you choose to say you want to say, the person replies with, "Hi, so what are you doing here?" And you go, "So I'm here consigning," it's more or less giving them that free hand that, "Oh yeah, another person to bully from this company, let's go on."
I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, when you start with that kind of tone, someone like me, I'll be like, okay, go on, speak up now. What are you saying?
Then you now
That,
get answers like, "Okay, okay, I've heard you."
yeah,
Like they won't
so
give you any reasonable answer.
exactly. I mean, that's very correct. Just like the way most of us might have, experienced this in. I mean, it's a personality thing, right? Sometimes it's not intentional. It's just personality, right? I have met a lot of people, and in fact, you'll be surprised at the way some people communicate, right? I've met someone that, right there on the call, Amaka knows what I'm talking about. On a professional call, he told someone that. Came to ask us some questions, myself and this guy, he's a friend actually. So he told that person, he said, look at, I've gone through your profile on LinkedIn. Imagine you came to interview somebody and the first thing they are telling you is, I've gone through your profile on. First of all, you must know that some people do that, intentionally, right? People want to dominate at all points, including you. I mean, most of you would love to dominate in some kind of scenarios, right? Which is not, the best thing to do. You should always make sure everybody, has an equal opportunity to, express themselves, and people should have a voice in that meeting or in that setting. But I've seen people where, I've seen situations where this guy just said, I have looked up your profile on LinkedIn, and I can tell you that your company should have sent someone else for this interview. Immediately, you don't know what. First of all, the customer is always right. You cannot insult him, and he knows that for sure. So it's an opportunity for him just to bully you, right? And you can. I mean, there are ways to match those kind of response, but you should never sound rude in any way, right? There are ways to match that kind of response, and make the person understand that, oh, right, I mean, the profile you actually saw, has not been updated for the past 4 years, right? Because I've been so busy, building products for company A, company B, company C, and I've done a lot, and I think now that you just reminded me of this, I will put in more effort during the weekend to do some updates. But thank you very much for pointing it out, right? Automatically you've kicked that off the fence. But try as much as possible not to be rude. So the next thing here is usability testing questions, and you probably do more of this, when you already have a solution that is already working, or you are trying to use a solution as a benchmark, right? While asking your question. Okay. So let's check out the next one. Continuous customer. You already have a customer, you already have a product going, and you just want to continually ask them questions to improve the experience of that solution on ground. Especially, yeah, there's some customers you bring into your company and you call them the focus group, right? So you bring them into the focus group, and yeah, and their job would basically be to always tell you when you guys are probably making a mistake with some implementation or not. All right, and we also have product market fit questions, which is of course a user interview thing, but I think it's mostly used by the product managers and not always the UX guys, but sometimes you might find yourself in the position to ask some of those questions as well. All right. So Amaka, I think let's just have like 10 minutes. I would ask some questions and you will respond. So our use case would be let's see what problem. Amaka, do you have any example from a fintech app or something, or from a commerce app? Can we use Jumia?
Okay, we can use Jumia.
Okay. Okay, so one of the questions that came in, he said, in that situation, if you're at a disadvantage, and if you're maybe using an updated profile, how do you handle that? Well, so you're asking if you are at a disadvantage, and if you're using an updated profile. So, for example, let's say you're a junior and you get to meet with someone who is asking that kind of thing, or asking that kind of question. Of course, I believe you know yourself, you know your worth, you know your value. So you can first, I think you can first, start off by telling the person, "Oh, sir, you're actually correct. I'm a junior staff, but I was selected for this interview because of my outstanding performance in the company and based on my inputs, in the development of this project. And I believe that by the time we're done with this interview, probably you might have a change of heart, sir. Always, make sure that what you're saying sounds respectful, and yeah, I think that would definitely work out. Um, Except you are just faced with someone that is not ready to listen to you. Then when you figure out someone is not ready to listen to you, I think the best thing you can do is to report back to your company, because you cannot. Yeah, yeah. All right.
because because I would
Go on.
say now the person has already told you, okay, I looked up your profile. They're not supposed to have sent to you. You just have to calmly respond. I'm like, oh, okay, I understand how you feel. But do you think can we proceed with this interview? You prefer someone else coming? And most times, because you have already given them, you didn't react badly, neither did you fight them. I'll be like, okay, we can let's hear what you have to say. They might throw you a how will I put it, a sassy attitude, but you'll be fine. A
Yeah,
nasty attitude.
yeah. All right. So yeah, Amaka, let's use commerce. Generally speaking, commerce. I would throw in some questions around Jumia, but just commerce. As a foundation to this interview. All right. So guys, while we are at it, I would we would basically showcase how you can match your tone, or match the energy to the person answering the question. So Amaka, sometimes you can choose to use a low pitch or use a high pitch. Just be flexible, and I will try as much as possible to make sure that when I'm asking questions, I'm able to match with that specific vibe. All right, so let's start. All right, so hello, Amaka. My name is Marvelous, and I am actually I'm going to be in charge of this interview session with you. I happen to be the senior UX representative from company A, and I'm sure you received my email.
Hi, Marvelous. Yeah, I did.
Okay, so I mean, before we proceed with the interview, I just wanted to ask, hope all is fine, all is well, and how is your day going today?
Yeah, all is fine. I'm good. My day is going well.
Oh, amazing. All right, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I will do my best to make sure that we round this up probably within 5 to 10 minutes. I hope that time works for you.
Yeah, it does.
Amazing, amazing. All right, so let me get to know you. I would love to know, what you actually do at work. What is your role at work?
Okay, I happen to be a UI UX designer, so I happen to design interfaces and I am currently in the junior role, so I do a bit of everything at work.
Okay. Okay, so I don't think that would work. Amaka, let's use a different rule. So let's use a different rule, and let's say your personality would be um
A businesswoman.
aha, a businesswoman in Onitsha. Maybe that works out. A
Okay,
businesswoman,
that
and
was
yeah, you sell electronics, right? Yeah, let's
all right.
yeah. So I mean, at any point, if you don't understand what to say, we can always cover that up. But yeah, you are into business and you sell electronics. So let me ask again. Um, so I mean, you have to also look at the person you are discussing with, right? A typical businesswoman selling electronics in Ikeja, might be different from somebody selling electronics in Onisha, right? And this is not a way to. I mean, the point is you really need to understand. Okay, this person I'm coming to interview is this someone I should be sounding? I should be sounding. Should I be sounding like this? Right? The amount of the way you are commanding your diction. Should you actually do that? Because when some people perceive that you are trying to intimidate them, all they do is run away from every question you ask. All right. So for now, Amaka owns an electronic shop at Ikeja. She's a professional, right? Very learned, and she understands. Yeah, Amaka, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
I was thinking
so yeah, let
vibe, market woman vibes.
no, that one will not work. The English will be too much. If it's a typical market woman vibe, I will definitely do my best to make sure that I communicate to that person, the best way they would understand, right? So, which means that even if I want to speak English, I would actually try as much as possible to even use pidgin English, right? Because that is
Right.
something they might understand very well, right? So please, I mean, and you must also understand this. You know, you are not expected to speak English in every single interview. You might get to an interview where you have to speak Yoruba, or you have to speak Igbo, or you have to speak Pidgin, right? Depending on the person you are interacting with. You don't want to speak too much English to someone that is not very comfortable speaking the kind of English you're speaking. They will give you one word as answers. Yes, no, not really. Yes, no. You don't want that. You don't want that. So Amaka understands me in this example, and we're going to stick to English. Um, and I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. All right. So yeah, let's go again. Amaka, I'm just going to continue from this question. So we don't have to repeat the introduction. So
All right.
yeah. So please, madam, can you tell me about your role at work, right? When you get to the office, what do you do?
So basically, when I get to the office, is to say a word of prayer, then dust, make this sweeping, then bring out the goods and wait for probably my sales girl to come because I get to the shop before any of them. So I get to do some things before they come and they do the other parts.
Okay. Okay. I don't think Amaka is following up with this particular this. So yeah,
No, wait. Oh, that's how
no,
they do now.
I said a high-end electronic shop, right? Those electronic
Uh,
shop where one
Something like
TV is like
slots. I know slots is not an electronic shop, but should we go the
okay. So
route of slot?
what do you call them?
Okay, slot. Oh, that's true. Slot is actually
Okay,
electronics.
so maybe they fall under general consumer goods, but I also see them as when you started with your sweeping shop. I won't go to interview with a sweet tooth. There go. So
Well, that's what if you have a boss that comes early? Anyway, I won't do that.
no, no, there should be you should have people handling that already. But yeah, let's just proceed, guys. Okay. Um yeah, so Madam Amaka, can you tell me about your team, the people that are working with you? Yeah, just give me a brief detail about the team.
Okay, so I have different people work with me because we have different sessions here. So we have the phone sessions, the part where we said TV accessories, home theaters, generators, fridges, and the like. So I happen to work with different people who are in charge of these various units, and they talk to the customers. And in case we have price discrepancy or a customer wants to negotiate based on how many items they want to pick, they get to report back to me and ask me whether it's possible, because we all have a baseline we can work with, but in certain cases there might be exceptions. So I work with
Oh,
various range of people.
oh, nice, nice, nice. So I mean, it means you basically sit in the position of operations with. Do you handle operations alone, or you have some other people working with you handling the day-to-day operation across these various sections or activities that happen in the office?
I don't handle it alone. I have two other people that work with me. So most times, if I'm not around, they can pick it up or they report back to me in general.
Oh, nice, nice. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, so do you currently have any partnership or dealings with? I mean, if it's private, you don't have to mention it, right? But I just wanted to know, like, I'm sure you know LG, right? And I can see some products now in the shop. LG, amazing LG products. Do you have like a deal with LG, or do you just purchase from a different like a wholesaler or something?
Yeah, I have a deal with LG because it's best to get it from the manufacturers themselves. That way, we're sure of what we are buying. And because of this type of shop we run, we want to make sure that all our products are authentic and confirmed. So, yeah, I have a deal with LG.
Oh, nice, nice. I mean, one thing I love the fact that you have a deal with LG, and just as you said, you want to make sure the authenticity of that product, coming straight from the manufacturer. It is way better than having to buy from some third parties, to avoid the problems. I really love what you guys are doing, to be honest with you, and I think there's a huge potential. Looking at the kind of business that I'm seeing here and what you guys are doing here. I think yeah. I mean, have you ever had any problem with your partners? At any point in time, like probably with your partnership with LG, was there any time you had any slight issue with the partnership? And what was the reason, if there is one?
I think maybe once or twice, and I think that had to do with maybe miscommunication, or the person that packed our products before it when it was being shipped to us. We had cases where we have what we call dead on arrivals. So when those items got to us, they were not working, meaning there was a fault with it from the factories, but somehow it was shipped to us. But we were able to resolve that after a few back and forths. But right now
Oh,
it's more.
okay. So, the reason why I'm asking this question, of course, I believe you're already asking yourself, why is he asking this question? Is he trying to dive into this business as well? Actually, no. We're a team building an application that would make, ordering these products easier for you. We have already, we're making, partnerships readily available for every customer that will be using our app, right? So just from your app, you can basically talk to someone in LG or someone at Samsung, right, or someone at Panasonic, and yeah, and they can basically discuss with you, and you make your payments, and they ship those items straight to you. And of course, there are some things. I know you have some questions, definitely. When it comes to the idea of buying things online, it's not. Most people don't always see it as a best option. But I'm sure I will be able to show you how it works. I came with the prototype here. I came with the app. Please don't mention prototype. I came with the app, and I will show you how it works, because we already have some customers using it. But I want to also, I want you to try it out, and let's see if you'll be able to tell us if you love the app or if you would even love to use it, right? But when you were giving your previous, the previous problem you experienced with LG, I think there is a particular question I actually wanted to ask you, right? And it's more about how you solve the problem, madam. So what did you do exactly, right? What did you do exactly to resolve the issue? Did you ship the items back to them, or did they refund your money? I mean, what exactly did you do?
So we had to do an exchange. So we shipped it back basically. Oh, there's LD has a particular office here in the country where if you have issues, you can just drop it. So they have their own warehouse that picks up products that are dead on arrivals because they understand this can happen. But the issue is most times they have to be very sure that the product was being shipped that has been shipped was dead on arrival, not that we something happened to it when you got to us and then we're telling them that it was dead on arrival.
Oh wow, okay, that's nice. I know of the office at Ikeja. Yes, they have an office here. I've been there before. But madam, how are you sure you are getting the best price? How are you sure you are getting these items at the best price?
I believe probably because we're buying from the company, so it should be the best price, except we're being cheated in some way. And if we are, wow, that will not be good.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking it was based on how you are able to bargain with them. So is it like there's a fixed price from the manufacturer directly, and it doesn't matter the quantity you buy, the price will never go down? Is that what you're saying, madam?
No, that's not what I'm saying. So now they have their fixed prices. For example, if I'm getting between 1 to 200 particular pieces of a chest deep freezer, there's a particular price assigned to it. But if I choose to go above 1 to 200 and I'm doing 500 pieces to 1,000 pieces, the price will drop a bit to accommodate me. So
Oh,
majorly it's between they give you a range, then you don't negotiate beyond that range because they give you that range. You either fit into it or you leave it alone.
oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, so I wanted to ask, madam. So if there's an app, where you can just pick up your phone and you look through, you see like the best price for a particular item, retail or wholesale, straight from the manufacturer, and you can also compare with like competitors. Maybe you can see how much LG is selling their own, refrigerator, or the price for Panasonic, and you're able to compare and take the best price. And of course, you can even see the items it is made up of, right? The quality of those items, and if it's something that can be fixed. So when you talk to your customers, you can easily give them assurance because you know what will be delivered to you. You know the details. You can even make a call, straight to the office there. They will pick your call and communicate with you directly from someone in that office. Would that be better for you? Is it something you think you will use?
I think it's something I would like. At least I have an option of choice while I'm still trying to maintain customer value and make sure we give them good products.
Okay, okay, okay. So, and you think you would love to try it out and purchase items, because the thing is, when you are purchasing items, you actually have to. I mean, it's very secure. I mean, that's one thing I would tell you. We are doing
Ah,
everything. Yeah, I mean, it's very very secure. So you
how
are rest
many?
assured. Yeah, you make payment directly on the app. Just using your card details, putting your card details,
What
and
if
you
they
make.
run away?
So yeah, I mean, so madam, that is why I said we are dealing directly with the manufacturers, and you don't have to be bothered because our own company is situated here in Ikeja, right, at so and so at this location, and I don't think you have anything to be scared. We are registered, registered with the country here, and we are definitely a trustworthy business. We also have people already using our service. I mean, you can check them out. Some of your competition here, they're already using us, and that's why you see Uncle A have been purchasing more items. Have been selling more. I don't know if you have noticed, but the reason for that is because he also adopted the app. I think it's something you should try out. If you're not comfortable with it, then of course, I believe we can always try as much as we can to give you alternatives on how to make payments. Do you have any? Do you prefer any other way or any other method of payment?
Card is more better. It's preferable than holding cash.
Yeah, okay. So, have you ever purchased items, maybe like from Jumia or any other platform, using your card?
Yeah, sure, I have.
Okay. So, I think it's just the same process. I don't think it will be so, difficult. Do you think you would have any concern with, purchasing something directly from these, manufacturers on our app?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I think one thing I wanted to ask is, there's a customer. I'm sure you know this particular business, around your area. She mentioned the Oga there. She mentioned that one of the major problem they face, when they try to do dealings at times with the manufacturer is the idea of prices changing. And because of the fact that dollar to naira conversion is not always very stable. I just wanted to know, have you also experienced this kind of, do you see it as a problem?
I don't see it as a problem.
Why don't you see it as a problem, mother?
I feel we can would definitely find a way to sort things out, and then communication is key.
Okay, so when prices go up, you just, work on, increase the price and letting the customers know as well. But your customers don't complain.
The thing is, they will always complain, but there are ways to go about increasing the prices so that you don't throw them off balance. It's
Mm.
one thing to say the price go up and then we just increase this price of everything we have in stock, right? But then it's one thing to know that the price goes up, but what we do is increase it in such a way that they won't feel the heat all at once. And then we offer payment plans where they get to pay twice, so they can split their payment into two, in installments rather, so it's easy for them.
Oh, okay. And how do you currently accept your installment, your payments from the customers? You do regular bank transactions, right?
Not just regular bank transactions. We have a particular agreement, and there's a particular platform we use for that. So
Okay.
automatically
It's
they
okay.
get.
Amaka is speaking as a UX designer.
Sorry about that. I'm
You have a
really too much.
platform. Amaka, you have a platform. You are a businesswoman in Ikeja. You're having a platform. You
We
can make
have
money.
a company that we work with. We have a company that we work with. That's the
Okay,
right
so
word.
every time I organize this kind of sessions with Amaka, it gets to the point where it becomes too official. I even told her to change her tone sometimes. I was waiting for her to do that, but
I
she
changed my tone at a point now.
it was not. I don't think it was obvious to anybody.
Hey. Okay, sorry guys. I didn't know it wasn't obvious. I thought I actually did.
So,
I'm not a good
the,
at
the, the way a regular person would answer some of the questions is they tend to disagree with some of the things that we try to talk about when it's digital, digital payments, right? I was expecting you to press on the fact that when I say it is safe and secure, you would go the route that anybody would go. There's nothing safe and secure in the country. Everything
Yeah,
can
but
be.
I remember asking how am I sure it's safe? Won't they run away with the money?
Yeah. Somebody said I never thought that was a Macau.
I don't know. Yeah, and I'm seeing someone said I should take the role of a secretary with a digital agency. I think those are not. I'm not discriminating, but those are not the set of people you want to interview. Digital marketers are right in their own prime. So if your conversation is meant to last for 1 hour, you might end up sitting 2 hours because they will prove their point to a large extent,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if they are wrong.
So when it comes to, like, I saw that message as well, taking the role of a secretary with a digital agency. Now the thing is, a digital agency is probably, when you say digital agency, I want to really understand you, because the digital agency should be the one, doing the conducting the interview. So why are we interviewing them? To do what exactly for them? Are we building an app, or are we building, tell me, what are we building for them? Somebody said, I was thinking it was real life. Well, I mean, a real life interview would probably be more. we won't move this fast because most of the things I would ask would take some time. They would have to think about it, right? So it won't really move this fast. Amaka is able to really pick up, some things, and she's just giving me a response. So it's looking scripted, even when it's not scripted, right? If I interviewed someone else that I've never been in this situation, like in an interview scenario, it would be more realistic, all right? But yeah, I mean, I hope. I think the last time I had a real session, the person I invited then, I think that was Samuel. So that, and this was a very long time ago, so that he could learn. The last time I had that interview session with someone before learning, right? I think that the last person I had that kind of session with was Samuel. But probably that should be like 2 years ago, I guess, if not three
I
years.
think that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So ever since then, interview is for real business and not for, we are not playing there. We want customers to pay. So we just tend to focus on, but yeah, I mean, this is basically, an example of what it looks like. And ideally, you'll be writing down. You'll be writing down. You won't be able to write every single thing that the person is saying, but you should be able to pick the most important things, right? For example, when she said, what if they run away with my money? That's a concern, right? That's a concern. So you have to write it down. You have to write it down, and she mentioned some of the pain points. I only asked her. I didn't really ask a lot of why, questions, so that we don't spend too much time. So instead, I only focused on the pain point, which is, the way they get some items that are already, destroyed, right? Which means they now have to change those items in their, probably their office in Lagos, their branch office in Lagos, and of course, any real person doing that business will be concerned. Changing this item in Lagos, the one I'm getting in Lagos, how am I sure it is good, right? What is the quality? Am I getting the same, warranty? Am I getting some kind of refund for my transportation, right? Are you going to settle me because, I mean, it was not my fault, it was your fault, right? And what if the fault is from the company that did the delivery, probably from the port down to the location where that item will be sold? There are so many things to actually look into, right? And when you dive into some of these questions, the meeting gets more interesting. But try as much as possible, no matter what happens, make sure you are looking at the time. When you start a call, you give that anchor on the time, 5 to 10 minutes. And when you give that 5 to 10 minutes, the customer or the user is already looking at their time. You take too long and you think that you are being fun, they might be laughing with you, but they are not happy, right? And they probably don't want to leave the call because they also respect you. So please don't take people's time, and try as much as possible to respect the agreement based on what you've said earlier that you would be asking on that call. So we have other questions here. We did not cover everything, and of course we cannot cover everything, but I'm sure Amaka will share this with you. And with time, if you want us to have like this kind of conversation with a specific scenario in mind, feel free to let us know, and we'll try to make that happen. Some other topics I would love to take you guys would be, wireframing training, UX tools, learning to work with some UX tools, such as Miro, which is one of the major tools I use alongside Jam. I also use a tool called, if I can remember the name, yeah, Whimsical. But Miro is kind of the best option in my opinion, based on the amount of templates you get for most of the things that you want to do. And finally, how to really design a case study. And when I mean design a case study, I'm not referring to the design that you do on Figma that makes it look beautiful. That's not that, nobody cares about that actually. Apart from your fellow designers, nobody cares about that. When you come up with a case study that looks 100% beautiful on Behance, the only person that cares about that is your fellow designer. For in the real business, in the organization, what they care about is the process you show. Even if your diagram is bending to one corner, the major thing is, do they understand what they are seeing? Can they work with it, right? That is exactly what they want. When you say you worked on a journey map, when you say you worked on an empathy map, when you try to outline the details about the UX, case study, the entire design that you guys do, as in the mobile UI and all those stuff, is not very necessary, right? There are some important things you should capture, and in like 5, 6, 7 pages, you're done, right? Some people do like 20 pages. In fact, probably sometimes 4 pages, 3 pages is okay for a case study. It depends on what you are trying to do, and it depends on what you're trying to show. You don't have to show every single thing. You don't have to. I mean, it's not a novel, right? We're not there to read stories. So, but let's see how it goes. The project is meant to start. At least we should have a session where I will teach you guys how to use a tool for managing tasks. We would assign people that will lead the teams, right? Um, check the list that we have shared with you. If your name is there, send a message to me. If your name is not there, stay on the server. I will drop announcements on what you guys can be working on. But if your name is there, send a message to me or Amaka so that we can start adding you to the project, workspace. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you had fun. Yeah, yeah. I think I'll see
So,
you guys next time. Amaka,
all
over to
right.
you.
Okay, so before we go, I'm saying, how do you solve a case of language barrier? You get an interpreter or you speak the language yourself. Depends, or you beg someone around the environment to help you. I think during your class, the instructor said that in cases where you have that language barrier issues, is either you speak the language yourself or you get someone around who understands English and ask the person and just literally have to ask the person to help you out here. That works. Now I'm saying some people want cash. Yes, some people want cash, but it depends what you're buying. Most people that make payments for those electronic products, they don't actually deal with that cash, that very large amount of cash. There are certain businesses that you can't move around with that particular, how will I put it, with the cash, because it's a whole lot. You don't, how are you going to move successfully with about 30 to 40 million? What happens if you get robbed or something happens or your staff runs away with a bag of money and all of that? So some businesses you won't move with cash, but there are businesses that allow you to move with cash. So I think, yeah. So that's all. So thank you guys. I hope you learned a thing or two. We'll be dropping a poll today on the server as well. So well done. I think this is all from us here. Mav, do you have anything to say, or
No,
can we
no,
call
no.
it?
Yeah, we can call it a day. I mean, the other thing is just the poll that you mentioned so that we can select a topic for the project, right? So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.